Welcome to Character Development. My name's Morgan.
And my name's Sydney. And today we're going to talk about boundaries, which is an excellent segue from last episode as far as relationships with other people. But digging a little bit deeper, how do we protect our peace once we have decided to be in any type of platonic or romantic relationship with someone?
Oh, boundaries. Okay, well,
Yeah.
vulnerable. We're gonna Sydney's vulnerability score will go up.
Dang, we got to add a tally. Okay.
Okay, yeah, it was at 2 last time, so I bet we'll see what happens today.
All right, that's fine. That's cool. That's cool.
Okay, let's go right in with like updates. What's happened since last week was tea.
Honestly, nothing. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I did have someone approach me with an offer for like a very small, like part-time design type of work. For those of you that don't know, I do UX design. But you can also freelance it. So someone did approach me with that. In the past, I would have gotten super, super hype and said yes immediately. But I have since learned my lesson to slow down and think about things, sleep on it, which is actually perfect boundary setting rather than responding immediately. So I told the person I would think about it, and I'm still thinking about it. So that's an update.
Well, we love that. We can't do the eager beaver because if you jump at the first thing, sometimes that's a shit. Like I've learned that the hard way a couple times with jobs, especially, and I'm like, okay, this sounds great. Like just because you feel that like acceptance and you're like, let me jump on this opportunity, and then maybe it's actually like the worst thing you could have possibly signed up.
No, actually,
You're stressed.
hopefully we all just have to go through that like once or twice to get it. But yeah.
Yeah, once or twice. I hope.
Not yet. Well, your voice just went up like an octave.
How many times? But yeah, no, once or twice, once or twice.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so we love that. We love money coming in any way. I mean, it's now the ball's in your court. So
Yeah, which I love to a degree, but yeah. So, what about you? Updates?
updates. I'm not running no more, y'all.
Okay, all right. What happened? What happened?
I'm just not into it. Like it's not my steez.
That's
And I
fine.
knew it wasn't. And like
Okay.
I was trying like New City, New Me. Like I should have
Mhm.
known that shit was whack. I was never gonna be running.
What was the moment? Like, because everyone has a moment.
Yeah. Like this is why I don't make New Year's resolutions, y'all, because it's too much pressure. Like
Okay.
I'm over here like I'm gonna run a mile every day at least.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm not gonna run anymore, but like to hold myself to a mile every day. Now I've been walking at least 6 miles a day, like
Okay.
just getting out and getting some air and like getting lost to find myself back home to figure out where the hell everything is. But like to run, maybe some days. But
Yeah.
I got to keep it real with y'all. And I said I was going to do it, but I lied.
And you know what that is?
Accountability,
And yeah, and
character development.
yes. Yes, and
Yes, and because I was trying to do it for the plot. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a running girl. Like that sounds cute. Yeah, I think part of it also is like it's too damn cold. And
Yeah, I think if I could make any recommendation to you, obviously hindsight is 2020 and like I probably should have said this way earlier, but I think starting your running journey would have been easier in Oakland.
child, no, I'm from there. I'm not running around people. Well, I know. I
But
would have had to start
here,
doing that when I was like in high school when it didn't matter.
okay.
And like, yeah, no, you know what it's like at the lake. I was not running the lake, Sydney. And then where else would I have run? My neighborhood was the lake.
Yeah, I used to run the lake. I just would gaslight myself. If I ran fast enough, then no one could see me. Like, which is absolutely not true. But like, yeah.
Which means I'm gonna look even worse. So but yeah, that's new. Also, I got on the trend of watching Saltburn. I wanted to watch it, and I was like, okay, everyone's talking about it, whatever. And
Yeah.
like, I saw a couple people like on Instagram being like, this shit was wild but really good. So I was like, okay, let me watch it.
Yeah.
It said thriller, y'all. I don't do scary. And so I was like, ooh, I'm just like, I'm gonna wait. But I'm glad I watched it. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. So I was gonna ask you, without spoiling it for those people that have not watched it,
Child.
thoughts?
I thought it was really good. I love Jacob Elordi. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. That
Yeah.
it's a vibe.
Yeah. We're right here. So okay.
I love him, and I feel like it was written really well. Like it was cute.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna know how it was going until the end, which is what I love, right? Like when they twist something or when they like flip it and you're like, oh shoot. Like
Yeah.
I thought like, okay, I know what's happening here, but then it just kept unfolding, which was really great. Now that bathtub scene did make me like a little
That
bit.
wasn't even the scene for me.
That was sick. The graveyard scene was sick.
You're literally missing the sickest scene in that whole thing.
What part?
The part under his window?
Oh, that was sick.
That was sick. That was sick. I mean, obviously no kink shaming ever, but like
But no.
but no. No.
No.
That
Yeah,
was television.
I just kept watching that. So the part about the bathtub scene that made it like super gross for me wasn't the fact that what it was in the tub. It was the fact that he was sucking the water out of the actual drain hole. Oh like, oh my God. The drain hole, and it was an old ass tub. So it was like all oxidized and shit. And I'm like, you could hear him like I can't even make the noise, but you could hear him like in the hole, and I'm thinking like, you know how much shit goes down that drain hole? Oh my
We
God.
have to add this as like a this week no context. Like we will be adding that image because yeah, if you haven't seen Saltburn, watch it. Maybe not with your
No
unsuspecting
family, no
parents.
kids.
Yeah, like that's more of like an individual type of watch. I do want to say though, the plot, storytelling, excellent, but all of that aside, visually, that movie was stunning.
Yeah,
Like
stunning.
stunning. I literally have a saved album on my phone of like stills from that movie. It was stunning.
No, it
So
was so
like,
good.
yeah,
And
they
if
did.
you're like a girly like me that loves like a vintage moment, like
Mhm.
it was just giving, giving, giving,
The
giving, giving.
dress.
The way everyone was dressing, the decor of the manor, like all of it was just like
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And it was, I thought it was cute that it was like in 2006. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's like, oh, nostalgia, which is weird to say 2006 is nostalgia, but it is technically.
Definitely.
Um, but no, that shit was good. So I need to watch more movies. So next time, Sydney, you got to give me a movie to watch,
Okay.
and
We can do that.
we'll bounce back and forth and say,
Okay. I still haven't watched your recommendation from last week. I'm honestly scared to.
wait, what was it?
You are what you eat or something like that.
Oh, that's not scary. That's a documentary
I
on
understand. I'm scared to change my eating. Like I'm
It won't make you change it. It just will like so like my eyes are open to things in a way where it's like I'm not gonna go to the grocery store and get certain things because I know it's not made well. And
okay.
that's good. Like you should know those things.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like remember that Food Inc. thing back in the
Yes.
day, or like it wasn't like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay. Good. So now I can watch it because I have a weird thing about food. Like I will either hyperfixate or like be sick of something. So like I watched that documentary about seafood. When I tell you I didn't eat salmon for a year,
Oh,
um,
you might not eat salmon anyway after this, but
I
I
shouldn't
mean,
eat
you'll eat salmon,
any.
but like fresh caught, not like.
Yeah, but do you know how hard it is to find fresh caught salmon fillets?
Well, you'll know because the price tag will be up there.
See,
It ain't
okay,
gonna be no $12.99.
yeah, it's not. We're not doing that this week. I just like I
Let me eat my dirty salmon in peace.
yeah, like I just was able to start stomaching it again because I just like brain dumped. So I'm not ready. I respect it. Respect it. When I'm ready, I will do it, a little bump in salary, we might get back to it, but we are where we are right now and that's what it is.
It's giving rich.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of, coming
Yes.
up is MLK Day.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means, other than the fact that it's MLK Day?
Okay.
All of the fun MLK Day flyers.
Yeah, actually though, like if you guys could DM us like every MLK flyer that you see that is just wild and has nothing to do with civil rights, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you one right now that is
Oh,
literally.
yeah, please.
I was like, okay, it's gonna go into a deeper discussion of what the hell is even happening. Hold on, let me
Okay.
see if I.
Well, you guys saw the all those flyers for please don't cancel me. I can't remember her name. The girl that just got out of jail.
Oh, the one whose mom was poisoning her. I forgot her
Yeah.
name. Her
Yeah, yeah. She had a bunch of flyers too.
for MLK Day.
Well, not for MLK Day, just for
Oh,
her release party. I don't know.
okay.
Y'all
No,
will
that was
literally party for
fun.
anything, which I support. Celebrate any and everything, but like it is kind of a lot.
Where the heck is it? I need to find it to send it to you. But it was an MLK Day flyer. I'm gonna have to post it on here so y'all can see it, or on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Instead of MLK, it was Jonathan Majors.
No.
And
Please let that woman rest. Let her rest.
then, and then underneath said all Corettas free before 11.
I'm not free because I will never be a Coretta. Like I feel like he's really like ruining it. Also, I'm really trying not to get canceled. It's only our third episode, but like I just like while I appreciate the sacrifices that Coretta made for us as a people, not even for herself and her for her relationship, I don't have to and never will make any of those sacrifices in my relationship. I will never be someone's Coretta, and I actually take that as like real disrespect. You want me to be
Okay, so there was a tweet that their daughter put on Instagram or on
yeah.
Twitter, obviously. Wow, I'm aging myself. Her daughter tweeted and was basically like coming back at Jonathan Majors, like, my mom was more than just, you
His
know,
wife.
his wife. Yeah, like she had not well, I meant to say a career and like her own stance in the social justice movement and the racial justice movement before MLK, and then supported him together as a couple, as a unit. And so it was disrespectful for Jonathan Majors to be on the phone with the white woman talking about, I need you to be my Coretta, which is problematic for her, or Michelle Obama, both of her in the ring too, because he said both. Because what did he say? I'm doing a lot for my culture,
What
and
are you doing?
I'm like,
You
you're doing a lot.
literally
Wait, you're doing a lot for your culture, but you're telling a white woman to be your Coretta.
this man literally dresses like a sharecropper, like not in character, out of character, like on a regular basis. You're not a civil rights activist. You're not.
And also, you've done what, Creed 3, and that
You're
and
actually beating a black man. If we want
but
to get
no,
it.
but like you're talking about, you're doing all these important things for your community. You've done like a couple movies that were like big blockbusters. Marvel cut that check immediately after that stuff started coming out, and you talking about you doing big stuff like Barack Obama and Martin Luther King Jr.
To compare yourself is actually giving a level of delusional that I don't think that we should carry into 2024.
Have several seats.
And then did you see the interview where they were asking him about, mind you, free my girl Megan, but about like his relationship with Megan? He called her his Coretta as well.
Yeah, he says she's being the Coretta. This is what, and I was rolling because she posted, she works out a lot. She's got like
Yeah, yeah.
body yada yada for days, but she posted a workout video for 2024, and I ran straight to the comments because obviously, and people were like, "Okay, young Coretta, like,
no, Megan, free my girl Megan. She just got out of. I'm not going to speak on her marriage, but she just got out of a marriage that clearly was not working for her to whatever degree. And now this is the rebound.
The tea is, okay, it's Jonathan Majors, like whatever, but like you jumped into a relationship with someone mid domestic violence case.
Okay, I literally texted someone this. I'm like, he's comparing himself to like a civil rights situation. This woman is defending you in a domestic violence case. This is not a civil rights case. This isn't a landmark case. This has nothing to do with black people besides your embarrassment, because everything you do gets projected onto us. But like, I just want so much better for her. It's none of my business, but
I want better for her, but I also, in the aura of boundaries, I'm
yeah.
gonna stop wanting more for people than they want for themselves. So if she's happy. If you like it, I love it, sister. Love that
Dang.
for you. And you gotta do what you gotta do. But
I'm gonna
whatever.
try to be
It's
like you.
I know you watched or saw clips of Cat Williams on Shannon
Oh,
Sharp's thing. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
it took me 3 days to get through it because 2 hours and 45 minutes is a
No,
lot.
same, same. My attention span isn't set up for that, but
Hello, it's giving squirrel. But anyway, I when he was like talking about like that man is ugly, and I was like, yeah, Cat Williams, you were right. Like he is not cute. Like, and whatever.
I've
Like I'm not
been
gonna.
said
You're
that.
young, but
I okay, again, only third episode, not trying to get canceled, but like I just feel like before the conspiracy theory was that he was fine. Like what he just took
no,
his
no,
shirt
no,
off.
no, no,
Okay.
no. There was no conspiracy. It was that his body was bodying. That was the thing, and everyone was looking past. He was a butterface because he got tight and right for Creed 3. I'm not even going to hold
Okay,
you.
I'm
He
not
looked
even talking
fine.
about Creed 3 though. People were calling him fine when he was doing that HBO show. Sorry, I don't know the names of anything, but like you know what I'm talking about, the magic where
Oh, the black one about the old time black stuff. I didn't watch it. It was like kind of scary sci-fi thing.
yeah, yeah, I watched it and I just remember people saying like, "Oh, he's fine." I was just like, "Oh, I I don't think
Okay.
I don't think so." And maybe I'm telling on myself, maybe I have fallen into like European standards, but to Cat Williams' point, that was not the beauty standard. And then all of a sudden, and I'll be the first to say I'm a conspiracy theorist. So sorry, but I was really tapped into what Cat Williams was saying. If something doesn't make sense, there is something deeper going on because that didn't make
Uh,
sense to me. It's
oh, it doesn't make sense. And also, I mean, not to dwell on the cat thing for too long, but like everything he said, people have dug up the receipts and he's been right. And every single comedian that he was like shitting on,
yeah,
or not even shitting on, but bringing receipts up or debunking shit that they've already said on another podcast, either the comedian came out and was like mad that he said something but didn't say he was wrong, or somebody in the comments dug up some receipts, or somebody else like Ice Cube came out and was like, yeah, that actually did happen for Friday. Like, that character was made for Cat. So you can't be mad at his little ass. He was even running that 4 second 95-yard dash. Did you see that video?
I haven't yet, but now I
Oh,
will.
well, I have to say.
I will definitely.
I'm
I
like,
literally just mentally bookmarked that. Like I will go watch that
no,
immediately.
he proved it, and he just as little as he could be, but he really ran it in 4 seconds and some change.
I don't think he's a liar. Like I think like I'm not going to say like everything that he said was 100% truth. I don't think there's no possible way for someone to be 100% correct in
Mm-hmm.
how they perceive a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I don't think that man was lying. I think whatever he's saying, he firmly believes what he's saying.
Yeah,
And I think that there is truth to everything that he said for sure.
yeah, and I mean, for someone who is a mind my own business kind of man, like he really does his comedy and minds his business. Like you don't ever see him on anything talking about anybody.
Yep.
He said the reason he is on this podcast or on Club Shay Shay was because everyone else had already come on and said something, and he had to debunk all the shit that they said. So
Real.
like,
You picked an interesting year to do it. I'm not going to hop in my astrology bag, but it's very timely. If you know, you know. So
woo. There's
it
always
is giving woo woo.
woo.
Okay, but Kat and I are both woo woo. So
I'm here for the woo woo. I'm
especially if it's right.
not even bad at it. Okay, so we are okay. We could talk about that forever, but
For sure.
boundaries. Let's talk about these
Boundaries.
boundaries
Okay.
because it's not even a jump of a segue. Like it seems like if we want to tie it in, Cat Williams is setting boundaries because he's not letting these fools talk about him.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about boundaries in a lot of different ways, like our friendships, family boundaries,
Yeah.
relationship boundaries.
Yeah.
Last week we talked a lot about being like a low maintenance friend or how friendships can evolve and shape over time. Um, as you get older, or as you transition through life and things change. Um, and I know you set boundaries with people when you meet them, right? Like, or you should, right? If you're setting healthy boundaries, you set them when you meet them, and then they adhere to those boundaries, or you don't stay in relationship with them. But then when you move to a new place, you've got to set a whole new set of boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So Sydney, what are some boundaries that, if you're comfortable sharing, that you have in friendships that are just like hard all the time boundaries for you? And like, what tips do you have for setting those?
Yeah, I alluded to this a little bit in our last episode, but I'm not answering an unscheduled call. I'm not doing it. Like, and I don't have a real reason for not doing it besides I don't want to do it. And like, I've recently discovered that that is a reason in itself.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's something that I think all of my current friends understand and respect. When I didn't always have this boundary, like I would kind of like force phone calls and it would be extremely inconvenient for me and just like the energy that I had allocated to my set activities for that day.
Mhm.
Because I do have a social battery that I have to plan out each and every day how to distribute that out. Um, but the friends that I still have in my life are very respectful of that. Like it's literally a running joke. Like people will say, Sydney, don't answer nothing unscheduled. You need to like book an appointment to talk to Sydney. I will gladly text you all day long, but for the types of relationships that I want with people, I want something that's quality. I want to like really be locked in with them while they're talking. I suck at multitasking. You will know if I am multitasking. So in order for me to do that, you're going to hear from me less, but each conversation is going to be quality. It's going to be fruitful. I'm going to be like fully locked in with you. And for that to happen, like I'm not, if you call me randomly, there's probably two people in my life that can call me randomly and I'll answer. Um, I'm not doing it. And like even new friends have had to like kind of get on board with that, and I think that that
Right.
can be difficult for some people. Because again, when I'm with you, you have my undivided attention. I'm giving you all of my energy. So for you to like maybe hang out with me on, say, like Monday and get all of this great energy from me, and then me blatantly ignore your FaceTime and like still be posting on social media or like texting you or whatever, it's an adjustment for people. But that is like one boundary I'm not wavering on. I'm not. Nope.
And you shouldn't. I mean, I feel like people get their feelings hurt over boundaries that other people set because they feel like it's rooted in something that they did. And
Mm,
it's like, no, you didn't do anything. It's just, well, unless, some people violate boundaries and you have to,
for sure.
set them and really talk about that. But like, I have to set boundaries for myself, especially with my communication. Oops, shit. Especially with my communication because I have to like protect my peace
Yeah.
and my energy. Just like you said, like unscheduled phone calls, and I do this with family too. Like sometimes some of my family members will call me and it's like someone that I don't talk to all the time.
Yeah.
Um and then I'm like, I know if I talk to this person, it's gonna throw off my day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like if I talk to them right now and I don't have the space, it's gonna throw off my day. And so that has been hard, but I know my therapist was like, girl, no, you have to draw a boundary. If someone is going to come into a moment for you and ruffle feathers and make it uncomfortable, like it's okay to not answer the phone. It's your phone. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to feel obligated to answer just because they called.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that helps. I don't think it's being rude either. I think it's just do what you gotta do.
Yeah. I do want to like take a second though, since you brought up like you don't feel like it's rude.
Hmm.
I'm sure you didn't always feel that way, not necessarily about this specific boundary, but about boundaries in general. For people that may be newer in their boundary setting journey, um, the first few times that you set a boundary, it's going to suck. It's literally going to suck. Like, you don't actually start feeling the benefits of boundaries until you have solid boundaries and
Mm.
like you've been doing it over and over repeatedly. That's when I think you start to feel like that respect for yourself.
Oh
But
yeah.
before the respect hits, I think there's a level of like guilt that you feel with setting a boundary.
Oh yeah.
And I actually didn't start setting boundaries until I was in Oakland actually. Like I didn't have any
Wow.
boundaries before then. Um and that's just cuz I didn't have like a ton of like deep relationships with people. Like I had a few people, I only interacted with them. I could handle them running over my boundaries whether they were aware or not. To
Hmm.
keep them in my life because that's what I thought I needed to do at the time. It was only once I started dating that I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, okay, like, if I don't have any boundaries while dating, like, I'm not gonna survive." Like, that these people don't know me, and, like, people treat you the way you allow them to treat you,
Yeah.
maliciously or not, but I remember, like, having an initial conversation with my therapist, and this was at a time that my mental health was, like, not great.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, like I just feel like anxious all the time. Like I feel like I'm always like letting people down, even though I'm overextending myself. And that's when the conversation of boundaries came up.
Hmm.
And the advice that she gave me, because she kept saying, like, well, why don't you just like tell them no or like just not do the thing? And I'm like, I don't know like how to say that in a way that like I'm comfortable with and it not being rude.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
She literally had me come up with like a script. When I tell you I had like a
You
notebook,
have homework. Okay.
homework, homework. Um, I had a whole notebook of like different scenarios and like I had like an actual script on how I would respond to people to set boundaries at first because I literally did not know how.
Okay.
Um, and like even when I would set boundaries, full body sweat. Like
I was gonna say, did you stick to him though, or were you just kind of like letting it rack?
I stuck so I to be honest, I didn't set boundaries with everyone at first because
Okay.
that was just like too overwhelming for me and like my people pleasing tendencies. I chose the people that I felt that I could trust initially. And then I started with the people that I didn't know
Mm.
because those were the two places that I was comfortable with. The people that love me unconditionally, even if I set a boundary, I was like, okay, this is going to suck for me, but I'm going to tell them I'm working on boundaries. Things are going to change a little bit, but don't take it personally. And that's fine.
They'll get it.
People I didn't know, I didn't care about their react. Like,
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
shouldn't.
if you didn't like it, you were never going to hear from me again, regard. Like, and that was also at a point where I was okay with ghosting and like not explaining myself.
Not ghosting.
Yeah. I don't ghost anymore.
Sydney, ghosting is a problem. You can't do that because that is ghosting
Yes.
is like blocking to me, where it's
Okay.
like, and here's the thing.
Mhm.
To like cut off communication with someone without telling them why. Um, Now if somebody, I'm pausing because if somebody has you effed up,
Yeah.
like if somebody played around,
I was gonna ask, what are
no,
the exceptions? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like if you played around and found out, y'all know who you are.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously you're getting blocked and there's no explanation needed.
Yeah.
But like if you don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation because you don't want to go there,
Yeah.
that's a you problem
Yes,
and a maturity
actually,
problem.
yeah,
I feel, like because you can't have hard conversations, like
yeah,
that's not, and I feel like a lot of people, I'm not saying you as in Sydney, but like
yeah,
a lot of people ghost. And if we're thinking about like when you think of most common ghosting, it's like in a dating situation where
yeah,
somebody went on a date with somebody and it didn't wasn't like sparks flying, and so then they just never talk to them again.
yeah,
The only reason you're ghosting them, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, you don't value them or their time
yep,
because you just ignored them and had them in the atmosphere stressed.
yeah,
So you don't care about their feelings,
yeah.
or you're a coward. And I like stand on that.
Morgan, to be real with you, vulnerability moment, I agree. And I have been all of those things. Like I have
Mhm.
felt those things. Like, um I I block people. I'm not shy about that. Like you're not gonna stress me out in a phone that I pay for. I'm so sorry. You're not
A
doing it.
line, a line.
Like I will block you. Like, that TikTok? Um, what is it? I don't even know what the TikTok is, but it's like, and I'm gonna block you. That's me all day. I do respect what you're saying about like if you're just someone who can't have difficult conversations or you're a coward. I've also been there. Like, and I'm working on that part of myself. And hopefully I will continue to work on that where I'm better at confrontation and like communication.
Yeah.
But yeah, as someone who has been like that, still working on that, Morgan's absolutely right. If you do ghost somebody without an explanation and you actually do care about that person, that's exactly what that is. Because I have, yes, 100%, 100%.
And
And I've
we've all
been
been
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've all been there. It's just about like the growth, right? Like
Yeah.
that I don't hold anybody for those kinds of actions they made when they were like in college or whatever and they first started dating, whatever. But like
Yeah.
at this big age, you're really gonna go somebody like
Sometimes, okay.
no, Sydney, there's no justification. If you don't feel compatible with that person, then you tell them like I don't feel
Oh, yeah.
compatible with you.
Yeah. 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 If
Yeah, like
they
for
are
them.
weird and
That's what I said. If
disrespectful,
somebody wants to fuck around and find out, that's a different situation.
totally
But
agree.
if it just wasn't for you and
Yeah.
you just whatever, that's the point of dating, right? Like
Yeah.
not everyone's gonna be your cup of tea.
Yeah.
But to just fall off the face of the earth, that's like,
That
okay,
is,
and everyone's been there. Like someone's done that to them.
yeah.
I don't care how fine you are, somebody has done it to you.
Yeah.
And that is like the worst feeling because it's like you're just in this state of ambiguity, like wondering what happened, what happened, what happened. And it could have been anything. It could have been something that was a misunderstanding that could have been, like oh God, it could run the gamut. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So I'm not a biggest fan of it. Now blocking people who are doing too damn much, I'm pro that. Like
Yeah.
block away.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to look at my block list, but I definitely block like if I get spam numbers, I
Yeah.
block them because they try it. But
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of like blocking for real, for real. Like I'll ignore you. Now some may say, Morgan, that's no better.
I'm like low key, like you're just watching their reactions pile up in your phone, but
So like the toxic in me is
yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know that I'm ignoring you,
Ah,
but
okay.
um, yeah, like I don't have my red receipts on or anything, nothing crazy. But like
Okay.
on Instagram, like you can DM me and like I will open it and then not respond because I'm like, did you get the hint? Like I don't want to talk to you. But
Dang.
like I think that's like now, and that's like coming out of the blue DMs, like random, like child, how to crawl out. Like there's no reason you need to be over here. Who summoned you? But I don't know. It's not any better, I guess.
I
I don't know.
mean, maybe I'll graduate to that one day, but me, one thing about me, I'm about to show y'all. I don't know how you are with blocking. Okay. We might have to like blur this out at some point. My block list is really long. Like I don't no, I'm not going back and forth with you. And especially how much it takes me to communicate a boundary. And I
Right.
think that's really what it is. the top of the list are definitely people that I probably didn't communicate my boundaries with. The bottom of that list is for sure people that I have communicated boundaries with and they pressed it anyway. And
Mm.
I do that because it is so difficult for me to set a boundary that like I shouldn't, I think because I'm still relatively early in my boundary setting journey, if someone presses enough on it, there is a chance for me to waver. So I prevent that from happening by like, you pressed a boundary. I already communicated once or twice.
Right, right, right.
You've lost access. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's not bad. And I mean, there are some people who have a hold on you in a way where it's like, I know that if I don't cut communication off completely, I'm going to reach out to this person, I'm going to talk to this person, or what have you. And it may be in your best interest, but I categorize those into the people who fucked around and found out.
Yeah.
So that's still, like they deserve a block
Yeah.
and don't deserve a missile space or all of that. Because, boundaries are healthy.
Yeah.
And outside of like romantic relationships, I've had in a more platonic thing, like friends and family too, where I'm like, I can't give this any more emotional bandwidth. I don't have anything left.
Yeah.
And I think it becomes really hard with family because
Yeah.
you feel an obligation,
Yeah.
right? You're like, okay, we're family. I have to talk to you. But I think the older I'm becoming, it's like that just because we have our blood related does not mean that you have my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Um, so, maybe it's okay for me to, if I can come to terms with neither cutting back communication or tailoring it to so that I'm in my self-care,
Yeah.
then I'm not going to look back on it and be like, oh, I wish I should have, could have, would have done X, Y, and Z. And I think that's one thing that I like am super cognizant about when I draw boundaries with anyone is like, and my therapist did tell me about this, which helped. Pro therapy, y'all, pro therapy. She was like, whenever you're going to make something drastic, a drastic choice or decision, I need you to think, if I make this decision and X is the outcome, and this is the worst case scenario, like, am I going to be okay with that?
Wow.
And so I would say like 9.5 times out of 10 so far, like, yeah, I've been A-okay with the decisions and
Okay.
it hasn't gotten to worst case scenario, but
Yeah.
like, sometimes you got to draw a line in the sand because these MFs they will.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Family's a tough one. I have just started setting boundaries with family like in the last year. That one's hard. That one's really hard. My sister's really good at it. And for a while, because she was like the first, she set boundaries before like it was mainstream to set boundaries,
Hmm.
and celebrated to set boundaries. So obviously that came with a lot of pushback and like conflict in our family. But now I'm like, dang, like the fact that she even like she's also a fire sign. So
I love
shout
that.
out
What's
to-
hers?
she's an Aries, so that tracks
Okay, Aries.
fully. But yeah, she doesn't anything she doesn't want to do, she's not doing it.
Love.
Like and like my parents will hit the line like, well, you're gonna regret this, like if they're not around. Like, okay, we all die. Sorry, but like you're not about to stress me out while I'm here, which is valid. That's
No,
valid.
that's true. There's only one thing certain in life, and it's death. So,
That's it. Like, and if you can't get it together while we're here, like I shouldn't have to take the brunt of the bullshit for that, which is valid.
yeah. No, I I totally agree with your sister. I plus one
Yeah.
because I'm the same way. I would think, or I'd say that I'm that person in my core family of like, what's that song? Ain't nothing to cut a bitch off. Like
Ooh,
I'm ready to just be done. Like,
snip,
you know,
snip.
I'm to stress me out.
Yeah.
The world is stressful enough for it to be
Yeah.
coming at angles from like that are supposed to be safe and like,
Yeah.
you know? So but I don't know. I also feel like, okay, we're kind of getting into a tangent, but we're still staying in boundaries. So how do you feel then about, say there's like, not say there's, we'll talk about something real like happened right now. So like how, is it Halle Bailey? Haley Bailey? Okay. Sorry,
Whatever.
I should know her name. Love her, but
You're asking the wrong one,
I
but
don't know if it's Hallie or Haley, but
yeah.
whatever it is, love her. She's great.
Yeah.
So she was pregnant for a
Yeah.
long time. Well, 9 months. And we thought that
The whole time. The whole time. Yeah, yeah. I got you.
for so long, like
It felt like forever because we didn't know.
we were
So,
guessing.
yeah.
So, and everyone was like, she's pregnant, blah, 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 and like berating her in her
Yeah.
comments,
Yeah.
right? And her little DDG, like all up in his comments, right? Like, and people felt entitled to know, like, about the state of her womb,
Yeah.
right? Like, when it's none of their fucking business.
Right.
But she's a celebrity, so she puts everything out into the world and then draws such a stark boundary.
Yeah.
So, and then everyone gets like, feel some type of way, or they feel like, slated in something. And is that okay? Like, can we feel that way when, like, if you've given us everything? I mean, I don't really care either way. I mean, I was happy for her. It was obvious she was pregnant, but if she wanted to pretend like we didn't know, like, live your life, girl.
Yeah.
But like, can we be angry? It ties back into people who like share things with us. We can bring it back to our personal thing, like friends. Say a friend is someone who shares a lot of things with you and they want to keep something really private, like their relationship. Can you be angry if they do that all of a sudden?
Girl, I have actually been there. And so I feel very strongly about this. And I mean Kylie Jenner did the same thing. Like
With every
let's not
baby.
forget.
Yeah.
Like I think we feel more entitled. I mean, people felt entitled to Kylie Jenner as well. But I
Mhm.
think people felt more entitled to Halle because she was still in the limelight. Like, I think when Kylie stepped away, she was posting less, like, was definitely wasn't the Little Mermaid, wasn't in the color purple, like wasn't on red carpets, all of that. Um, so I think people still felt entitled, but like there was less space to comment on it. With Halle, like, I mean, this girl was literally in the biggest press tour of her life so far during this period of time.
Literally.
Um, so one, I respect her for keeping that to herself because it's a very stressful time and you're literally creating and carrying life, and that level of stress from people that don't matter and realistically don't care about your well-being
Do not
should
care.
not have the power to impact your health. So if she wants to protect her child, especially as a Black woman, and we know everything about mortality rates when it comes to Black women and carrying their child. I think she did what was best for her. I for sure definitely in my head was like, that girl's pregnant. But like, yeah.
But you weren't in the comments like
No.
trolling. Right.
I think I can't say for sure that I wouldn't have been if I hadn't experienced something similar, but I did have a friendship that I no longer have now. And this was before I started setting I had set a boundary, but I didn't realize it was a boundary.
Mhm.
And it was over someone I was talking to. So similar to what you were talking about, me and this friend shared a lot of things and we were very close, but I was not quote unquote honest about like what was going on in that area of my personal life.
Okay.
This person
Meaning you
felt,
weren't spilling all of your beans.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was spun as dishonesty,
Right.
which is why I said it that way. But this person felt entitled to the truth or like what was going on in that area of my personal life. And I do think, um, and maybe it's like the era of social media, even tying it back to Hallie. I think because we all feel like we know each other so deeply and like we have a certain level of access to anyone, we're entitled to every detail of their life. And that's just not true. Like, if you want to set a boundary, it doesn't even have to be about a significant other. If you want to set a boundary about like jobs that you're applying to, where you want to move, like that's at your discretion. You don't and I didn't learn this until so much later. I wish I had known this while all of this was unfolding, but like, you don't owe anybody any level of detail about your life that you don't feel comfortable with sharing.
Oh, that's a word. No, you do not. You do not.
Yeah.
And it's okay to like keep certain parts of your life private. I mean, I if we're going to talk about like friends and relationships, which we can kind of tie into like last week's episode too with how relationships kind of change and melt over time, but I've had so many friends who over time who get into a relationship and they don't know how to be a friend anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
And they like will completely cut everything. Like they stop hanging out with you, they stop texting, they stop calling, they stop all of these things because they're so like wrapped up in whatever the hell's going on over there.
Yeah.
That I don't like. I think like,
For sure.
okay, that's taking it to an extreme. Like you can be in a you should be able to have your relationship with your person
Yeah.
and your friendships and they live in tandem.
Yeah.
Um because otherwise you're not feeding that other part of yourself, which is like your fellowship and camaraderie with your girlfriends or your whoever
For
friends,
sure.
right? So
For sure.
um but I am firm in I do not think that you should tell everyone everything about your relationship because, and
Oh,
I know a lot of us have learned that lesson as we got older, right? Like because
yeah.
you key with your girlfriends and you tell, oh, he did this, he did that, he got on my nerves, blah, 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 blah. And then they, as your friends, are going to get fierce, right? Because they like want to
Yeah.
protect you, right?
Exactly.
And like
Like we
hold
hate him now. Like I don't.
him,
Yeah.
right?
For sure.
It's like a yes, girl, yes. Everyone's like talking together. And
You
then
may forgive, but I didn't. Like.
right. And then
Yeah.
next week, like when you're back with Roger,
Yeah.
uh, and everybody's like, we can't stand
But I
you.
thought, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And then you have this weird thing of like, y'all, he's not that bad. Or he's not the like, I swear, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, the stories you were telling us were egregious.
Yeah.
So
No, guilty. I've been guilty of that too. Like,
oh, 100%. And so like as time goes by,
yeah.
the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm not really gonna tell anything other than like, we're doing well, you know?
And that's really all
Or
it
it's
is.
really all you need, or like if there's things that you do co-couple or whatever, like sure do
Yeah.
that. But like you don't need to be in the intricacies of anybody's relationship because like you said about the social media of it all, like people feel entitled. Once you get in just a little bit, like we love stories, right? You get enthralled with like how
Yeah.
characters develop and you want to develop these relationships and see it through to the end.
Literally, I want
None
to
of your fucking business.
see it through, my boy. Like, fully.
That's none of my damn business.
No, it really isn't. I think we're all just too much in each other's business. Like, I don't need to know, like, unless you want to vent to me. And granted, also, like, this is on the other end of that. If your friend does open up to you and vent to you, that is how much information you are entitled to. That right there. You don't, just because they start to tell you something doesn't mean that you are entitled to hearing everything else about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like being that friend that's being vented to, also knowing where that line is and like being a listening ear. Like I've also learned I'm not giving my opinion to my friends if it's negative about the situation. This person could be doing you dirty, in my opinion.
Nope.
That's not
You're
for
gonna be the bad
me.
guy every time, Sydney.
Oh, it's not for me to help you figure out. I'm here to be a sounding board so that you can speak out loud and hopefully that will get back to you. And I will be here when you figure it out. I'm not, because I've been that girl that has like vented to her friends and then they hate their partner and then like they're telling you why don't you leave, like I've been through all of that
Oh,
on
all of
both
that.
sides now, so it's like, and at the time all I wanted was my friends to, like, I wanted to feel heard. I wasn't going
Right.
to change my behavior until I was ready to change my behavior or my
Well,
situation.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know me, you know. So
Well, obviously.
like, yeah, like
If I'm thinking about it, there's only been one time where I've had like a fallout with a friend over their man because it wasn't because she was she didn't do anything. So this is what happened. Story
Okay.
time. I was in college and I had this roommate who had this boyfriend he didn't go to school with us. He would like come up to see her or whatever.
Okay.
And he was always doing shit that got on her nerves. And so since we lived together, that was my first apartment I had two roommates. And she would like vent, like, ugh, I hate when he does X, Y, and Z or whatever. And so like it was whatever, but he was cool. Like every time he came up, like he was fine, whatever. It's none of my business. Anyone's boyfriend's gonna get on their nerves.
Right.
He came one weekend for Halloween weekend, and if you ever have been to Chico for Halloween, you know that it's crazy. And we were all about to go to some like rave thing. I don't know. Another life. I was sing, but like that's
I'm like, that does not sound like you, but okay.
oh, I was in my white girl bag. But anyway, that's a whole other life. We can talk about that stuff in another
Okay.
episode. But I've been to quite a few music festivals. Honestly, I do love EDM music, but I work out. If I'm gonna lift heavy, I need EDM because I need the bass in my face.
Okay.
It's
I would have
actually
never guessed.
yeah. Well, it's really that girl. I'm getting tangential, but if you want to lift heavy, you should definitely try it. I'll send you a playlist.
Okay.
But yeah, so we were going to this rave, and everyone was like blacked, like college drunk, like just belligerent, and he kept like being disrespectful to her in a way where like everyone in our friend group and all of the dudes that we were with were like, this is not cool, like whatever. And so then the guys were like, you need to calm down, like chill out, like it's not that serious, whatever.
To him.
It's like, I'm also a firm believer in like, if men want to start fighting, I'm not getting into that. Like that's their business. Like
man's business for sure.
No,
this isn't like you. Like, girl, back away.
back. Not my business. So he was like belligerent and acting crazy. And then he like pushed her or something, but like towards me, and ended up like pushing her into me. And I was like, hold on, like this is becoming to be too much.
Yeah.
And he was like, nope. Now, mind you, these are not black people.
Oh, okay.
He was like, nobody gives a fuck about your black ass.
Well, I gotta go. Like, what's that Viola Davis? Like, okay, I'm so sorry you experienced that.
Like, I've always, like my music taste and my friend groups and whatever have been all inclusive, right? But one thing about Morgan Reams that has never changed is I don't take no shit when you talk about me and my blackness. So we're not about to play the fucking games.
Yeah.
So I had a couple choice words that I'm not gonna put on the podcast. Keep it clean. But after that weekend, I told her to never bring him up to me again. Do not bring him here. He's not allowed here. I don't want to hear shit about him. I don't care if you stay together, get married, fuck off, and I don't even know, but like I don't even want to hear his name.
Yeah.
And I had to draw a hard line in the sand. And she stayed with him for like a minute. But that was a boundary that I had to set. And if I'm looking back on it, like her and I were really close. I was like the first girl that I met in college. We were supposed to be roommates from like when we both transferred and all of that stuff. And like we don't even really talk now at all. And part of that, and I guess when hindsight's 2020, is because in 2020, when everyone was all the Black Lives Matter movement and everything was going on, her and her friends are some of the ones, her friends from home are the ones that like feel obligated to use the N-word. Like it's their thing to use. Yeah. And I had to like, there were a couple people actually that I went to college with who were not Black, that we had to have these kind of conversations with and got cut. Like I said, ain't nothing to cut them off. But those were boundaries that I had to set with myself of like, you're not about to disrespect me. Your man's not about to disrespect me. If he wants to disrespect you and you and him are doing that, it's 100% y'all's business, not mine, washing my hands of it. But he's not going to come into the place where I pay rent and lay my neck and be disrespectful to me.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
And it kind of ended in like the slow like dissolve of our relationship.
Yeah.
But I am a believer in everything happens for a reason, so I think that that was supposed to go that way.
100%.
But that was the only experience that I've had where I've had like a fallout with someone over their relationship.
Valid though. And that
Well,
wasn't even over their relationship. That's like I do want to say like it I think it's a fair boundary like if someone that you're friends with is friends with someone that's disrespecting you, I'm not that type of friend where I'm like, well, they didn't do that to me, so
hello.
it's only a matter of time.
You're just complacent, and so you're just as guilty. I
Yeah,
think if
yeah,
you allow people to have badass behavior like that, like you're just as bad. And I had to kind of like obviously no one there was like thought what he said was okay. It became an uproar. The men in the group were not. It was a whole thing. It got handled,
yeah,
but I had to draw a boundary for myself,
for sure.
which ended a friendship,
Yeah,
but it was necessary for my own self-respect.
yeah,
Um, and sometimes that's what you have to do. Like you have to, it might be hard to set a boundary. It might be uncomfortable. It might be like, oh, but I really had fun times with this person, or I really, whatever, whatever. But like all those fun times, like whatever,
yeah.
is that more important than your self-care or your self-respect?
Nope.
I
It
don't think
never
so.
is. It's never worth it in the end.
I don't think so. But talking about self-respect, we can kind of pivot over to self-care because that has to do with your boundaries and all those things. And we were talking about social media and how Hallie and Kylie both, I think, for their own self-care
Yeah,
and the care of their unborn babies, had to like take a moment.
yeah,
But like social media, everyone I talk to who is like, either they do social media because they have an account for work or they do whatever, they either don't really use their social media for personal reasons because
yeah,
it's become too much, or there are people in our age category. Now I know the people younger than us have a problem like they, but with over consuming and not
right.
being able to differentiate what's real and what's fake. And I
Yeah,
think the blessing in that of our age group is like when we were coming up in those formative years, this stuff was like brand new or hadn't even started yet. And so like we could tell the evolution of it being fake, but like
yeah,
to only ever have seen things through filters or seen things through, salacious articles or what have you, that you don't know how to differentiate. So what is your social media regimen like? Like I know you like to bed rot on TikTok, but that's like videos of people like doing shit.
yeah.
What's your vibe there?
It fluctuates if I'm honest. I do think my relationship with TikTok can be a bit unhealthy. I'm fully aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do take TikTok breaks. There are times where like I notice it starting to impact my mood and I have to
Mm-hmm.
delete the app. And I'll get
Okay.
back on it in a couple of months because it's a tumultuous type of relationship. But for my own mental health, like there was a period in time where I was on TikTok every day. And I try to be very conscious of the types of content that I take in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was a time where it was all about Palestine. Very important content. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think we should all be aware of like what's happening, not just in our own lives, not just in the United States, but on a global level. But that level of consumption of information is not normal. It's not. And like I mean, even when we talk about like how you shouldn't watch the news every day. Like if I'm sitting on TikTok and an hour has gone by because that's how easy it is to get sucked into that app.
Right.
And all I'm watching is like bombings of people that are the same color as me, like
Like uncut raw footage. Yeah.
raw, like this is not censored, none of that. That is going to start to impact how I view the world, how I move in the world, like my mental health, all of that. So for TikTok, I'll go through breaks and then I will try and like recurate my content to have like some like haha funny stuff in there with a
Mhm.
mix of like real world, keeping me up to date on what's going on. Um, Instagram, I've actually been moving away from, which I never thought would happen, and I'm kind of sad about it, but it's just not like the more real I become with myself and like how I want to present myself, Instagram's just not really like that vibe, or like the vibe that I've curated on Instagram doesn't really align with that as much anymore.
Mhm.
So it's been a lot of like close friends content, and I've stopped oversharing on close friends. Like my close friends have no idea what's going on in my life anymore unless they text me. So that's a
Great. Let's
boundary.
say you're real friends.
Yes,
Real close friends.
exactly. Yeah,
Right.
because before I was just like on there venting. Stupid. Like, not everyone on your close friends cares about you or what you're going through, or is sad that you're going through that. So it's like,
That part. Every once in a while, I have to go like trim the fat out of my close friends. I'm like, who can I take out of
yeah,
here if I don't really talk to you? Because before, close friends was like people that I just know are cool.
yeah,
That like it's fine, whatever. Then it became like people that I mean, my close friends isn't crazy. I don't post anything crazy in there. But it definitely took some trimming. And like you, Sydney, I'm someone who posts on Instagram like when I have something that I'm actually doing. Like I'm not over here gonna lie to you like I'm in Jamaica when I wasn't am not there. So I'm posting like content from years ago. Like that's not the vibe. So I'm
yeah,
actually doing something. I mean, I guess maybe or like for big things, but so my Instagram gets posts maybe like once every 6 months.
yeah, yeah. You're
Uh,
not super active on there.
yeah, like at all. So like people don't know what I'm doing. And also I run other social media I think when you have to like run brand pages, you realize that like I
It's a
don't want
job.
to do this
It's
for myself.
curated. Yeah,
Yeah, like I don't want to do this for myself too because I'm not like I don't. It is so curated, like you said. Like it's fake. A lot of it is fake,
for sure.
and like a perception, and like it is a brand. Like, what is your personal brand, right? People ask that all the time. Like, what do you want to portray? But like, maybe I don't want to give people that kind of insight. And part of my self care is keeping my personal life to myself.
Hmm. Even with the stories that we tell on here, like it's stuff that we've been. Y'all are getting developed character, like when we're giving you stuff that's going on. Maybe one day we'll be vulnerable enough to tell you what's going on in real time, but like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
totally.
one day when it's when things when things have less stakes.
Yeah, yeah. When we're out of our Saturn return, sure.
Yeah, when I'm out of my Saturn return, then I'll I'll tap back in. But one thing I think that also for like social media or like it's the highlight reel, right? Like you get like
Yeah,
the most fun parts of what everyone's doing, and that also ties into like the going out culture, drinking culture, like all of that. And I know like part of my self care journey, I stopped drinking as much
yeah,
because I know like post COVID when restrictions got lifted or post like intense COVID when restrictions got lifted, it was like party party party, let's all get wasted. Like
mm,
it was a vibe, and especially in Oakland at that time, like it was just fun. Like everybody was just like drinking from Wednesday to Sunday and like
yeah,
partying and having a good time. And I was like, I came to a couple realizations. One, the people that I was aligning myself with weren't people that I really could consider friends. They were people that were fun to be out with.
mm-hmm,
And when things start getting messy or weird or like there's weird tension between people at this age, it's like I don't align with this kind of activity and I need to recorrect. And a lot of that was like drinking culture and just being like party party all the time.
yeah,
Um, which also does not go well with, I mean, I guess it's a double-edged sword. It doesn't go well, but it does with my personality because I'm someone who's like I said before, a social butterfly and I'm going to work the room. And that is a great thing for me and my girlfriends. We have a great time, but like it also can be bad because there's some people who see men who feel that that's like too much, right? And I know Sydney, you're that way too. Like we can work a room,
yeah,
and it's like, Oh, well, there's insecurity bred in that, but that's for a whole nother episode. But
And we will do it. That will be an episode because
we'll do it.
yeah.
But yeah, so you stop drinking or whatever, or I did. Or I would drink, like, do wine nights with my friends, like Kiki, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you go out and people are like, why aren't you drinking? Like, what happened? Did something, why not? Why? And I'm like, I'm not an alcoholic. I just literally don't want to drink right now because what's the point? It's a Wednesday night. I have work tomorrow. Do I have to be drunk?
Yeah. Or even on the flip side of that, if you are struggling with something like alcoholism, not that you were, but like there was a point in my life where, I mean, I don't know if I would classify it. I mean, who knows, to be honest, but like I was drinking more than I was comfortable with. I was only able to be around the people that I was going out with when I was intoxicated, which is a sign in itself. Yeah, I think we need to stop asking people why they're setting boundaries because you just never know. Like there could be no reason at all, and then there could be a deeper reason that maybe
That's
you're
none of
not
your fucking
ready.
business.
Yeah, like just be like, okay, when someone sets a boundary, don't press it, don't question it. Okay. Respect your
Literally.
boundary. Let me know if you need anything.
And probably that boundary was set and you noticed that it was set because you were pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't notice the boundary was set if you weren't tap dancing on that line.
Yep.
So it probably means you're doing too damn much. You need to take several seats. But, whatever. But yeah, all that to be said, I think one, we need to respect boundaries.
Facts.
And work on setting them.
Yeah.
And being more intentional with setting them because as we grow and we change things and transition from place to place or, new jobs or whatever, because that's something we didn't even talk about, the boundaries in the workplace.
Yeah.
But as we grow and we set these different boundaries, it's really important to be intentional about the reasons why. So that you can be your best self. I mean, people pleasing is so not bitch. Nobody wants to.
We're not taking people pleasing into 2020.
We're not doing it. No. But yeah, we'll see. Boundaries 2024.
Yeah, no, none of that this year. We're past that. Or if you're just starting, just know you don't have to bring that with you into this year.
Oh God, no.
But I think
if you mess up, you need to start over. Start over. And I mean, if you need to block somebody just because you're starting off on your boundary setting journey,
I support it. You'll never hear me say I don't support that.
I'm pro block.
I am pro block. Like, do what you got to do. You only get one life. And at the end of the day, the only person that has to be okay with how you lived it is you.
Ooh.
So.
Ciao.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You ain't never
lied. You don't have to like that you got blocked. Like, that's none of my business.
No. And if you got blocked, you probably did something to deserve it. So maybe be nice. Be a better person. Sounds like a personal problem. But to wrap up this pro block podcast, we need to talk about goals. Our goals for the week. Goals that we set. Let's talk first about the goals we set last week. I can go first.
Okay.
So the first goal I set last week was running. And I told you all at the beginning of this podcast that that's over. So
that's okay.
Don't ask me about running because it's not. But so yeah, it's okay. Remember, if you don't hit a goal, it's not a failure. It's just we're pivoting.
Facts.
So my goal, my goal was to run. I've edited my goal, and now my pivot is to walk at least 4 miles a day after my workout.
Okay, I like that.
Which is possible for me, and that's attainable and something that I can do and stay on every day. So I'll tap back with y'all next week on that one. And then my second goal, which was out of my control, was that I was applying for a job or am in the interviewing process for a job that was supposed to get back to me. They said they were going to get back to me on Monday. It's Thursday when we record episodes, y'all. So I was like hounding my phone, like stressed, blah, 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 the first couple days. And then today I was just like, you know what, Morgan? It's after a holiday. Give people grace. And so tomorrow, if I don't hear from them by tomorrow's Friday, so if I don't hear from them by tomorrow, then I will reach out because a closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, I support that. I support that.
So, how'd
Um,
you do on your goals from last week?
to be honest, I don't know if I did that well because I don't remember one of my goals from last week. I don't know if I remember one was about like vulnerability. And I think I did excellent at that, but I genuinely don't remember what the last goal was.
Okay. So, goal for this next week is to remember the goal.
Yeah, yeah. I'll write this one down. I can only be myself. Like that's it.
I'm just a
Um,
girl.
I'm literally just a girl. Like I don't know. My goal for this coming week. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I want to stick with the vulnerability thing. I'm getting more comfortable with it. Like I feel like I was like a lot more open in this episode than before. Who knows how
Mhm.
I'll feel watching it back.
Yeah,
But
cringe.
yeah, I
I
just
cringe.
yeah, literally. Yeah. But I do feel like better about sharing things that are helpful in a way that is still like respecting my truth, my journey, whatever. So I want to continue to do that, and that's going to be the only. I'm only going to focus on one goal at a time. Like brain capacity is that's the limit. So yeah,
Okay. Okay, question about that goal,
yeah.
not goal shaming, live your life.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
How long will your goal be vulnerability without adding a bump in it because you're opening up more? So now is there like a level up to that goal? Vulnerability in X or Y, or are we gonna just stay with vulnerability?
We're gonna stay with vulnerability for now because I think that the only like the next level is like vulnerable in with certain like people and situations in my life,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm easing into. I did I was very vulnerable last week. I was very
Mm-hmm.
confrontational on a personal level. That is not something that needs to be shared on this podcast quite yet, maybe in a year or so. But like
Yeah, once
um
it's all over.
yeah, yeah, once like everything's been ironed out. So yeah, I want to like continue being vulnerable with friends. I think that that's getting a lot easier. Dating and like all that other stuff, we're just like not really there yet to
Yeah.
share. We're not in a place where we can be vulnerable about what we're being vulnerable about. So
Yeah, yeah.
um yeah, yeah,
Okay.
period.
And I don't think, let's see, goals for next week, for this upcoming week for me. Um, I have some deliverables that need to be done for my organization, which for an event happening in February. So
Okay.
need to do those things. I'm not going to divulge because it's classified for the moment, but
Okay.
that work on get a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm gonna get into my water goal again. So like I'm a water girl who drinks a
Yeah.
gallon a day. Like that's I at least drink a gallon of water a day. But like I think during the holidays I kind of fell off because it was like you're doing everything else.
Yeah.
Um,
And your mood.
and one of those people who has like the big water bottle that people shame me for drinking because it's like literally a crystal geyser bottle. But whatever. But when I drink more water, I just feel better. I look better.
Yeah.
It just all the things.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get back into my water drinking steez.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's it.
I like that. All right.
Thank you. Well, this has been another episode of Character Development. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.